Like all professional CAD products, SOLIDWORKS provides multiple ways of creating 3D solids, removing material, and enhancing with additional features. In this short video, I will demonstrate some of the primary tools, those that are used most often. When you create a new part, as I'm doing here, the toolbar has two main feature-based operations. They are extruded boss base and revolved boss based. It is with one of these tools that we generally begin the process. Let's explore each of them one at a time. As you've seen from earlier videos, you can directly create a sketch on any selected plane or surface. But this time we will accelerate the process by selecting one of those two options. We begin with extruded boss base. Upon selecting this option, you are immediately asked to designate the surface or plane upon which your sketch will be created. If this is a brand new part, you'll usually select one of the stock planes, such as front, top, or right. In some ways it doesn't much matter which one you choose, but if you are creating parts that will later be assembled, you may find it convenient to be forward-thinking. What is the native direction that this part should appear when dropped into an assembly? For now, however, we select the front plane and go from there. As this is a demonstration, we won't be doing any dimensioning, but of course when you are creating actual parts, you will need to specify all aspects of the features in order to meet your needs. Let's create a simple rectangular solid. We begin our corner rectangle emanating from the origin. Now that we've drawn the simple rectangle, we're done with this sketch. Click on the green arrow in the upper right corner, and we are immediately taken to the Boss Extrude panel seen on the left. It is here that we make our selections about the size, destination, and other features of the extruded solid. Assuming everything's okay, you will see a preview of the extrude as defined by the current settings. You may now change the height of the extrude, the direction, and other factors that we will talk about later. Setting the extrude height is as simple as entering a numeric value. You can even visually adjust the height by clicking on and dragging the arrow as shown here. In this example, we will do a blind extrude. Notice that there are other options. Blind means that the selected sketch features will extend in the desired direction a fixed amount. Also notice that we can change the direction of the extrude by clicking on the arrow shown here, away from us or toward us. We'll set the height to 0.25 inches and press enter. This will update the preview but will not finish the operation. Once you're happy with what you see, click on the green check mark in the upper left corner, and now the part is extruded, ready for the next operation. In a similar fashion, we can add an extrude feature to one of the newly generated surfaces. Again, we select Extruded Boss Base, but this time we select the surface as shown here. This automatically creates a new sketch on that plane, ready for us to add sketch features. Using the View Orientation drop-down, we can select the direction from which we want to view the part. We choose an orientation that is normal to the sketch plane. In this example, we draw a rectangle that is aligned with one edge of the existing part. We then select the circle tool as shown. This is when some of the automatic features become useful. What you'll see is that if we briefly hover over a feature, such as the edge or a center point, SOLIDWORKS remembers this and helps you align to that spot when drawing a new feature. Now that the circle is drawn, we can exit the sketch, and once again we see the Boss Extrude panel. If you press and hold the mouse wheel while moving the mouse to rotate the view slightly so we can see what's really going on, we can roll the wheel to zoom in or out. Right away we see that the direction of the extrude is inconvenient at best, but in fact what we really want is to extrude up to a selected surface. Let's say that we want to extrude back to this edge here, which is on the opposing side of the part. So instead of blind, we will select up to surface, and then we click on the surface that we want. The preview shows us that it is in fact doing that. We can rotate around, look at it again, and once we're happy with that, we can use the green arrow in the upper right corner here or the green arrow on the Boss Extrude panel to affix the new feature. Now notice that it has welded with the first surface so that it is in effect one solid part now with that new feature on it. Continuing with extrusion related operations, let's do some cutting. Cutting is really the inverse of extruding. We'll have the extruded cut. We're going to do that right now. Go up to the menu, extruded cut. It wants me to choose a surface upon which to put the sketch. I'll choose that top edge. I will draw a rectangle on it, and here we go. I got a rectangle. And notice that rectangle is kind of arbitrary. If I happen, for example, to want some relation between the rectangle and a feature down below, on another plane in fact, let me escape out. And what I'll do is I'll select this surface, not the whole thing, just that surface. There we go. And I will select this vertex, or that edge. Gotta be careful. Shift, click, and I'll make the two collinear. I've now added a relation between them, and if I view this from the top, remember I can use the view orientation, look at it from the top. It is in fact lined up with that edge. So I'll go ahead and let it do the preview of a cut, and just like before, I can drag the arrow to cut to any depth that I want. I can also choose a surface and have it go to a surface. Let's do yet a new operation, which is offset from surface. I'll pick this surface on the bottom, and I want it to be, let's say, a ½ inch. Let's try a ½ inch, 0.5 inch. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That in fact cuts through that circular, that cylindrical hole, which is good. So I'll let that continue, and then sure enough, there is the cutaway, the extruded cut operation. I want to share one other thing that you might find interesting. This is kind of an aside, but it's a very helpful tool. Let's say I want to look at the section, the view of this part at different locations. Up on your command bar up here, there's a thing called section view. Now, in order to make it work a little more directly, I'm going to choose a surface that the section will emanate from. So I'll go to section view, and now watch what happens as I drag the arrow I can see inside the part at any location. In fact, if I stop there and I say, yep, that's what I want, I can continue to do editing on this part as if it was cut away. Now, there are limitations to that. You'll find out when you get going. But this is particularly helpful if you have a complex assembly or a very complex part that you want to look inside of, kind of like an X-ray. So I'm going to undo that by clicking on it one more time. And there is my part with a cutaway on it. You saw how to do an offset from surface, so we've made good progress. Finally, as promised, I'm going to do a revolved boss base, and maybe you'll recognize what the part is once I'm getting going here. It's going to be completely free form, so here goes nothing. We'll do a file, new, part, okay, and we end up with a new part. We haven't lost the old one, it's still sitting there, so we're in a new window. And instead of choosing extruded boss base, we choose revolved boss base. What this does is to allow you to create a part that is a revolved, as in circular feature or shape that is revolved around a line. So without much ado, let's get going here. I'm going to draw a line and I go up with the line. I do want it to be vertical if I can get there. And now I'm going to use a tool that we haven't used yet, a 3-point arc. It's a really handy tool. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to pick that end there and I go up to a certain location and I'll drag this down about like so. And okay, well, I got that shape. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but let's find out. I'll accept that arc. Let's do an offset entities. I don't know if we've done that with you before, but there it is. If you recall, you can offset one way or the other. You see, you can reverse it. I'm going to increase the amount that I'm offsetting a little bit. And, well, that looks pretty good. Now let's do another line. Oh, I didn't accept it. Let's go back again. One more time. See, I make mistakes too. We're going to offset entities, and I have to accept it. Okay, now we've actually got it. I'll draw a line across the top to connect the two endpoints. Let's come in here. We've got this extra bit of line here, which I'm going to trim off with trim entities. And in fact, if you look real closely, we've got this extra little bump sticking out here. I'm going to trim that. And lo and behold, see how it's been shaded? Now that part has, you know, it's closed. It's a completely closed, enclosed geometry. Let's add one more little feature to it. Let's add a rectangle, and we'll do some trimming in a moment. Let's have this go down to about here. How's that looking? Yep, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to trim entities. I'll trim that. Whoop. And I'll zoom in a little bit more here and that. So now I've got this shape. I don't know if you can guess what this is going to be, but once I'm done. All right, so I'm done trimming. I'm going to declare that I'm done designing this part except for finishing the revolve. So I'll click on the accept thing, and now it's asking me for something. Well, it's asking me for mostly an axis of revolution. Notice that this entry box is it's a blue. That is your clue. That's what it's waiting for. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to click on that surface, actually not a surface, that vertex, and magically it has created this. Well, it's a preview anyway. You can kind of see how it all came about, and I'll accept it, and there you go. You've got a bowl. Well, that was pretty fast. Now I could add features to it, handles or holes or whatever I want, turn it into a teapot. But the point is that as quickly as that, I created this very lovely part using the Revolved Boss based tool. And that, my friends, is the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it.